Ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes when a plane is preparing to land? Let's dig into the intricacies of arrival and traffic pattern procedures. When an aircraft is hovering in the vicinity of an airport, a crucial cog in the wheel, known as the approach control, swings into action. This entity is responsible for managing the vertical or horizontal spacing of aircraft, creating a seamless flow of traffic. This includes managing aircraft flying under Instrument Flight Rules, or IFR, as well as those operating under Visual Flight Rules, or VFR. The approach control also coordinates with the airport control tower to manage traffic around the airport. To maintain a smooth flow of air traffic, each airport has its own set of operating instructions that define working zones, rules, routes, and mandatory heights to be followed within the control zone. So, the approach control plays a vital role in managing air traffic around an airport, ensuring safety and efficiency. You might be thinking, who's responsible for avoiding collisions during flight? Let's clarify this. In the world of aviation, responsibilities are shared between pilots and the approach control. Let's dive into the specifics. When it comes to flights operating under Instrument Flight Rules, or IFR, the approach control has the responsibility of ensuring vertical or horizontal spacing between aircraft. This means they must coordinate the traffic, manage the flow, and prevent any potential collisions. It's a bit like being an air traffic conductor, ensuring every plane is where it should be, when it should be. Now, what about flights operating under Visual Flight Rules, or VFR? The game changes slightly here. While the approach control does its best to provide traffic information to all aircraft, the responsibility of avoiding collisions between VFR flights and between these flights and ground obstacles falls squarely on the shoulders of the pilots. It's up to the pilots to use their eyes and judgment to keep their aircraft safe. Here's an interesting note. Each airport has its own operating instructions, which establish work zones, rules, routes, and mandatory altitudes to be followed by VFR flight crews in the Control Traffic Region, or CTR. This helps maintain a smooth flow of traffic and keep everyone in the loop. So in a nutshell, the approach control is like the guardian of the skies for IFR flights, while pilots of VFR flights bear the mantle of responsibility themselves, using the information provided by the approach control. But let's not forget, the approach control also ensures the direction and control of aircraft under its supervision in the airport area or terminal control region. This includes the moment they receive control from a neighboring control body and until they transfer control to another neighboring body. This is all to avoid any possible collision between the aircraft under its control and to regulate air traffic within its assigned airspace. Ultimately, the safety of all aircraft, whether flying IFR or VFR, is a collaborative effort between pilots and approach control. Now, what happens when an aircraft is about to land? Let's talk about arrival clearance. Arrival clearance is an essential part of aviation protocol. It's the green light given to an aircraft, signaling that it's safe and permitted to begin the landing process. But how exactly does this work? Well, it's a combination of precise communication and efficient control. The responsibility for this clearance lies with the approach control. This team is in charge of ensuring vertical or horizontal separation between aircraft operating in their designated airspace. This includes aircraft flying under Instrument Flight Rules, or IFR, and those operating under Visual Flight Rules, or VFR. The approach control also coordinates with the airport control tower to manage aircraft in the vicinity of the airport. But let's not forget about the pilots. For flights operating under VFR, the pilots themselves are responsible for avoiding collisions with other VFR aircraft and ground obstacles. It's a team effort, with everyone playing their part to ensure a safe and seamless flight experience. Now, how is this communicated? The approach control communicates with the aircraft, providing them with essential information about their flight and the conditions around them. This could be traffic updates for both IFR and VFR flights, or directives for navigating the airspace. The approach control station, also known as APP/TWR, is responsible for directing and controlling aircraft under its control in the airport area or terminal control region. This starts from the moment they receive the control transfer from a neighboring control station until they transfer control to another neighboring station. The goal here is to avoid collisions and regulate air traffic within the assigned airspace. So, as you can see, arrival clearance is more than just a permission to land. It's a complex process involving multiple parties, all working together to ensure safety in the skies. Proper communication and control are crucial in ensuring a smooth and safe landing. Ever heard of hold instructions? Let's decipher what these are and how they're communicated. In the world of aviation, hold instructions play a critical role in managing air traffic, especially when immediate landing is not possible. These instructions guide pilots on what to do when they're required to wait before they can proceed with landing. So, when might hold instructions be used? Imagine an aircraft arriving at an airport, but it's not immediately authorized to begin its approach for landing. In such situations, the pilot needs to be directed to a holding area. The pilot is informed about this well in advance, before leaving the cruising altitude. The communication includes the expected time when the approach can begin. In aviation phraseology, this is expressed as expected approach time, followed by the time. But what if the waiting time initially communicated to the pilot is extended by 5 minutes or more? The pilot needs to be informed without delay about this change. The phraseology used here is revised expected approach time, followed by the updated time. And in instances where the wait might exceed 30 minutes for various reasons, the pilot is informed as early as possible. They're told the reason for the wait, the beacon where they'll be waiting, and the expected approach time for landing. The phraseology for this situation is due to our reason, hold at significant point level, expect approach at time. The entry into the holding procedure as well as the hold itself are carried out in accordance with the procedures established and published in the approach charts for the respective airport. Hold instructions and their proper communication are key to managing air traffic, especially when immediate landing is not possible.